Trump, the president, saying the European Union, which was formed for the primary purpose of taking advantage of the United States on trade, has been very difficult to deal with. There are powerful trade barriers, VAT taxes, ridiculous corporate penalties, non-monetary trade barriers, monetary manipulations, unfair and unjustified lawsuits against American companies, and more have led to a trade deficit with the U.S. of more than $250 billion a year, a number which is totally unacceptable. Our discussions with them are going nowhere. Therefore, I am recommending a straight 50% tariff on the European Union starting June 1st, 2025. There is no tariff if the product is built or manufactured in the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This, in combination with the Truth Social earlier attacking Apple for making its products that are sold in the United States outside of the United States, you add that up and you can see that it's been a bad morning at the White House in terms of thinking these negotiations are getting somewhere. So,
well, that's always been the big question. Everyone said we're going to have all these deals. We still haven't seen just about any of them.
I thought India was supposed to be done.
Right.
Japan.
You can see the FTSE in Italy is the biggest decliner of the European averages. It's down by about 1.9%. And then here are the declines that you see in the United States. Dow futures down by 470 points. S&P futures off by 67. The NASDAQ down by close to 300. Joe, you mentioned that Treasury yields were coming down. I guess that's what would happen if you thought you were approaching a recession more rapidly.
446.
446 now. The 30 years still sitting right at 5%. We'll continue to monitor this.
Indeed, we are in a very deep economic crisis, and it will take quite a while to recover from that. And therefore, the European Union gave a very strong answer immediately to inject liquidity in our economies that are hard hit by the lockdown. We spend a sum for the economy of 3.4 trillion up to today, the European Union and the member states. And we are now working on, indeed, a 7-year budget for the European Union, topped by a big recovery program that is more or less something like the Marshall Plan. So to really have front-loaded a lot of investment in research, in innovation, in the sectors we want to promote, like the digital or the European Green Deal. So to kickstart the recovery of the European Union, and this injection is necessary.
But as you know, ever since the announcement of the recovery plan was made, there's been skepticism on a number of fronts. Some say it's unlikely that you will get significant private contributions. Do you think that's correct?
Well, I think that we will be successful with this recovery investment because it is composed in a way that all 27 member states say, let's go for the idea. Of course, the devil is always in the details, so there's a lot of discussion about how to spend the money and how much in loans, how much in grants. But the overall idea to have the 7-year budget of the European Union topped by a recovery instrument, and this front-loaded for the acute crisis, this finds a lot of positive response.
Beginning tomorrow, AAA expects 39 million people to drive to their holiday weekend destinations and 3.6 million people to fly. But after weeks of flight delays and multiple air traffic control outages at Newark Airport, the FAA is now reducing the number of flights in and out by 25%. So how might this impact your summer travel plans? Eyewitness News reporter Janice Yu joins us live from Newark Airport with more. Janice.
Well, David, experts are just saying this is the perfect storm of things that could go wrong, have gone wrong here at Newark Airport heading into the busy travel season. Now, given the issues that have been happening here at the airport, as well as now those flight reductions, experts say people are avoiding the airport altogether and finding different ways to get where they're going. But they say if your travel plans do take you through this airport, they say just plan ahead and know that delays are very possible, and have that in your mind before you set out for your vacation. Fewer planes will be in the skies above Newark Liberty International Airport for the time being. The FAA says airlines have agreed to cut the number of flights to 28 arrivals and 28 departures an hour until June 15th. It's a way for the FAA to alleviate some of the pressure at the airport, which has dealt with multiple system blackouts in recent weeks. Officials say aging technology is a factor, as well as the nationwide shortage of air traffic controllers.
Most Americans today walk around with more computing power in their pocket than air traffic controllers have at the ready.
This comes right before what's expected to be a record-breaking Memorial Day travel weekend. AAA estimates about 45 million people will be traveling between Thursday and Monday. 3.6 million will be flying. Julian Keel, the CEO of PointsPath, says travelers are altering their plans in light of recent events.
Travelers have definitely gone out of their way to avoid Newark Airport and choose one of the other options if it fits their travel plans. And I do recommend that if you have travel in, out, or through Newark, contact your airline.
If you haven't done so already, it might be a good time to book those flights. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, price of flights in April were 8% less than the same time last year. But Keel says there could be some hesitation among those thinking about traveling.
I think people do consider whether safety is an issue at Newark. I do think Newark is a safe airport to fly in and out of. The FAA does make sure that they provide redundant backup systems as well as redundant controllers. I think you're safe flying in and out, but you may not get there on time.
Well, after June 15th, the number of flights here at Newark will go up to 34 arrivals and 34 departures an hour, and that will remain in effect through October. Live at Newark Airport, Jana Siu, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
I'll give you a look at the scene behind me. We have been moved a little bit farther away right now than we were yesterday, but you can still see the devastation, particularly on that house on the corner. But you can also see a lot of the debris still on the street. A lot of the effort yesterday was a preservation effort to make sure that evidence was preserved for that investigation. And I want to talk a little bit about that investigation because there were at least 20 agencies here yesterday, and they're all responsible for different things. Right now, the NTSB is the primary on that investigation, but the FAA is the one that covers all things aviation. Local officials were the primary emergency response, but also handle a lot of the aftermath. Now, we get information from all of those agencies, and we know from the FAA there were 6 people on board the plane, and all day yesterday, several agencies told us they believe there were no survivors. Now, we're still learning new details and working to confirm as much as we can, but we've identified 2 of those 6 people, and I want to show you some photos of those individuals. Now, Dave Shapiro is a licensed pilot who co-founded a music agency called the Sound Talent Group. They confirmed he and 2 other unnamed employees were killed in the crash, saying the company was devastated by the loss. We also know musician Daniel Williams was on the plane. He was the former drummer for the metal band The Devil Wears Prada. Williams posted a few photos on social media Wednesday night showing the jet on the runway before takeoff in New Jersey. You can see the tail number as well as a few photos from inside the cockpit. Now, we're still learning more about the other victims on the plane, but first responders and the people who live in this neighborhood were all really shocked that no one on the ground was killed. We did hear this morning from the woman who lives inside the home on the corner. She returned today, and it really brought back a lot of emotion. Take a listen to what she had to say.
We owe all 6 of our lives to him right now. So seeing him is also making me emotional because it's all clicking together today. And if it wasn't for him, and he said Benjamin and the other men who just ran up, oh my goodness, he says I'm not a hero, but he really was. He really was. We wouldn't be here right now. Being able to even having the opportunity to piece back and starting over if it wasn't for them.
Now, this is the beginning of a long recovery process, but it's also the beginning of a long investigation. The NTSB says that they expect to issue a preliminary report within about 2 weeks, but the full investigation could take 12 to 18 months. Now, we're looking to get a few more questions answered today at 1 o'clock. For now, live in Murphy Canyon, Shelby Bremer, NBC 7.
Spoke with Russian leader Vladimir Putin today and claimed he had made real progress toward ending the war in Ukraine.
It's a terrible situation going on over there. 5,000 young people every single week are being killed. So hopefully we did something.
President Trump has been calling for a ceasefire. President Putin suggested there was still more work to do. Trump also spoke with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and with the leaders of major European countries. Joining me now to talk through this is NPR's Charles Maynes in Moscow. Hey, Charles.
Hi, Mary Louise.
Hey, so a day of a whole lot of telephone diplomacy by Trump. Start with the call between Trump and Putin. That one was so highly anticipated. What did we learn?
Yeah, Trump and Putin spoke for just over 2 hours by phone. Putin was the first to give his take, calling the conversation useful, constructive, substantive. But for all those pleasantries, it was clear Putin hadn't agreed to the ceasefire Trump was after. Let's listen.
И Россия выступает за мирное урегулирование украинского кризиса.
So here Putin says that Russia is for a peaceful settlement to the Ukraine crisis, but he adds we should determine the most effective path towards that peace. And he later spoke of establishing principles of a settlement, the timing of a peace agreement, among other details.
Okay, so not exactly signing on to an imminent ceasefire then. It's almost like I think I can hear the can clinking as these two kick it down the road. What was the Trump readout?
Well, like Putin, Trump was complimentary about the tone and spirit of the exchange, calling it excellent, but he was actually effusive about the results. In a post to social media, Trump said that Russia and Ukraine would immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and ending the war. He added the details would be negotiated directly between the two sides, quote, as it can only be. Trump also said he'd been informed key players, including Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European partners about this, and suggested the Vatican may even host future negotiations, ending his post with, "Let the process begin!" exclamation point.
So it sounds like the American readout is certainly the more positive of the two, but square that with the fact that the Trump administration has been suggesting they might walk if there isn't progress and fast.
Exactly. But now it seems like Trump is suggesting he might distance the U.S. from negotiations because this process that he claims is going so well. That said, Trump also made clear he had no intention of walking away from other deals with Russia. For one, Putin's advisor later told journalists Trump and Putin had discussed exchanging 9 prisoners from each side. That's 9 Americans arrested for low-level crimes, possibly coming home from Russian jails. Meanwhile, Trump also talked up the tremendous opportunities in Russia for business, calling the potential unlimited. And he said Ukraine could also benefit from trade as it rebuilds. Of course, detractors of the deal aren't quite so sure.
Charles, catch us up on another point. Europe. The Europeans have been threatening new sanctions against Russia if Putin didn't sign up to an immediate ceasefire. Do we know what happens to those?
Well, I assume they'll have to decide whether to give Russia more time to negotiate or not. Either way, the Kremlin's projecting confidence it can weather new penalties and that time is on its side on the battlefield.
And last thing, Ukraine. Wait, what is the Ukrainian take on all of this?
Well, President Zelensky of Ukraine took to social media to give his readout of the talk with Trump. He reaffirmed that Ukraine was ready for a ceasefire, but it said it was important not to dilute that proposal. The challenge for Zelensky is now avoiding any appearance of being seen by Trump as the greater obstacle not only to peace, but to other deals the American president clearly wants with the Kremlin.
NPR's Charles Maynes from Moscow. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Reading out of Psalms 37:11, and he reads, "But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace." This is Daniel 7:18, and it reads, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever." This is Daniel 7:21 and verse 22, and it reads, "I behold, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom." Daniel 7:27. "And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Call on Yahweh, Bahashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai, Ruha Rakakadush. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community. Waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone teaching this truth, doing this truth, walking in this truth in humbleness, sincerity. Again, I'm going to say shalom. It's your brother Yahweh coming at you on a video. And, you know, looking at the post coming out this week, you know, the Most High, he's continuing to break this place apart. You know, it's really going into the fall of these wicked kings that rule this earth. Okay, you have this big news where Trump is threatening to hit EU. Okay, the EU with tariffs as he did China. Okay, y'all know a lot of my videos past, I've been warning about that big prophecy in Revelation 17 to pan out. And that's what this is coming into. Okay, that's what's setting up. America's not going to make it, right? You have that. Okay, there was some other major news. There was supposed to be peace talks with Russia and Ukraine, but even in the heat of these so-called negotiations, they're still at war, okay? So there's no peace on this earth. Okay, in the last video post, you know, China's been flexing its muscles, right? And here in the States, you have this condition, okay? There's a condition going on. I don't believe, you know, the media is selling this story that Newark International Airport has a staffing crisis, okay? They don't have enough people to work the control towers, okay? There's more to that the United States media is actually hiding. When you look at that video, right? They're alleging there's not enough workers to do the traffic control, the air traffic control, allegedly. But there's a lot of reports of outages. And family, those are not outages. They're not admitting that these towers, and I believe it's more than Newark International. That's here on the East Coast, on the Jersey side, okay? I believe these towers are being hacked. Okay, that's the real truth of the matter. America, mainstream media, they're downplaying that. I believe Newark International is getting hacked for the past 3.5 weeks, if not longer. And you've been seeing stories of planes burning up. It's a narrative, but these wicked kings of this earth, they have to be careful what they ask for, okay? Because when you ask for something long enough, you might get it. And, you know, if they want to see a damn plane collision, they have to be careful what they're asking for. Because I think that's what they want. And, you know, that'll be pretty bad. I believe in the beginning of the year, late last year, you had a plane slid on the highway. Not the highway, but the landing. Okay, there was a plane. The plane slid. Okay, the wheels didn't come down on time. So the captain actually landed it, but he couldn't slow it down, and that plane exploded.
Investigators have recovered both the flight data and voice recorders, or black boxes, from the Jeju Air flight that crashed in South Korea. 181 people were on board the Boeing 737-800 when it crash-landed at Muan International Airport on Sunday morning. 2 crew members were rescued. The officials say the rest of the passengers and crew are presumed dead. This video we're going to show you now shows the plane dragging along the runway with no landing gear in sight, no wheels at all. Moments later, the plane bursts into flames. I'm not going to show you that moment.
We have a warning that was issued from the control tower, a flight with nothing out of the ordinary happening until the control tower says, listen, right before 9 a.m., there's the possibility that birds are in the area by the one runway for this international airport, about 3.5 hours south of Seoul, and bird strikes could be possible. And Ben, 4 minutes after that warning goes out, we have the plane that declares a Mayday signal from the cockpit, and then only a few minutes later, the crash on the runway. We have 2 survivors. One of them is now being transported to a hospital in Seoul. The other survivor, Ben, is already here in the Korean capital, and the country is bracing itself for this death toll to possibly reach to 179 people.
Okay. So it's been, as of late, some serious airplane issues. Okay, this whole FAA crisis, but I believe it's a hack. And, you know, the Most High, he's just going to continue to judge this place. Of course, y'all know I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, and there's this whole jailbreak story.
So another person arrested overnight in Louisiana for allegedly helping a group of inmates break out of that Louisiana jail. And as of this morning, at least 5 of them are still on the loose. Nate Floyd is back in New Orleans with the latest details. Nate, what do you know?
Hey, Lawrence, good morning. So there are a lot of questions as we begin the second week of this manhunt. You mentioned 5 dangerous fugitives remain on the run. And we learned yesterday from the DA, Jason Williams, that the sheriff's office never even requested that the crime scene be processed after the escape. So that certainly raised a lot of eyebrows. And yesterday, the DA's office and NOPD crime scene investigators did exactly that at the jail. And you also mentioned there was another arrest, however, unfortunately not one of the 5 remaining fugitives. Take a look at the mugshot here. This is Connie Whedon. She's accused of contacting fugitive Jermaine Donald, who's accused of murder, before and after the escape. Authorities say that she also sent him cash on a phone app. She's now the 3rd woman arrested after the escape. A source tells Fox the other 2 are girlfriends of 2 of the fugitives. Meanwhile, the DA talked about the mistakes made by the sheriff's office and the lack of communication immediately after the escape.
Time is of the essence in terms of catching escaped fugitives. If they escape at 12:30, immediately upon awareness of that, we need to make sure that the public is notified, the media is notified, because if that had happened, in all likelihood, all 10 of these individuals would be in custody by now.
Lawrence, how about this? The DA is also asking the sheriff and her employees to voluntarily submit fingerprints and DNA samples as they conduct a criminal investigation into the escape. Take a look. These 5 inmates remain on the run. 3 of them are murder suspects or convicts. There's a $20,000 reward for information leading to their arrest. And investigators believe that those 5 guys are still here in the city of New Orleans. They're confident. They say they have strong intelligence on them. However, it's been since Tuesday night that they've made an arrest on one of these escaped inmates. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Nate.
Okay, well, there's a prison house in downtown New Orleans. Okay, there is a prison there, and apparently the report is they were doing construction, and there was a mass hole in the wall at the prison facility, and the inmates managed to escape. That's still making headlines. Now, I didn't post this account. Okay, there was a killing at this embassy in DC of 2, I don't know if they were Israeli citizens or Israeli soldiers. I believe they were Israeli natives, and that story is going viral. Okay, it's a lot of judgment, and this judgment is only going to continue to increase. I didn't post this one either. Slocky, I did post this. Y'all remember the plane crash in Philly I believe there was a couple in Northern California. We do remember the incident in DC where the helicopter ran into a passenger jet and everyone died. Now there was this incident in San Diego, which I did post, where the Learjet slammed into a community, and they saying six people died. But when you look at the footage, we don't know if there were other civilians in that vicinity when that Learjet crashed into a building. This was recent. So these judgments only getting worse in the economy. Okay? The return of the empty shelves. Right? I made groceries today and it's the same old scene. And then there's another, you have these, ABC strands of COVID out there. And they're trying to spike that up. So the Lord's going to continue to break this kingdom down. The war is going to continue to escalate. And ultimately, those SARMATs, those ICBMs, okay, your Revelation 17, that's going to be made manifest. And the 12 tribes of Israel, we have to brace for this coming exodus out of this place. Keep in mind, after the judgment, or in the midst of this judgment, right, God's chosen is going to be delivered. You can read that in Joel, the 3rd chapter. You can read in Zechariah 13 and 9. You can read in Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. 2nd Ezra 7, 43. 2nd Ezra 8, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? The chosen's going to be saved on this coming E-Day. I call it Exodus Day. Some call it Doomsday, but it's coming. Right? But this is what it's going to be for the chosen in the world to come. When Christ, the prophets, the saints, the angels take this world in righteousness. We're going to get these scriptures and I'm going to end this video. Okay? Let's read Matthew 5 and 5. And it reads, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Okay, that's going into the elect. That's going into the government elect. That's also dealing with the government body elect. Okay, I'm going to read it again. It says, blessed from the top. Matthew 5 and 5. "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." That's going into the chosen. And to be of the chosen, you have to be humble, faith like a child. You can't be this cocky person in the truth. I'm just saying that generally, okay? You can't have that cocky mentality. I'm not going to tell you as a teacher in this community, 12 plus years, I know I'm chosen. Nah, I can't tell y'all that, okay? I know that on E-Day, when those books are open. That's Revelation, the 20th chapter, okay? And that's Daniel's, the 2nd chapter as well, when those books are open, okay? That setup is already going on now, but when them things start coming this way, the missiles, okay, get chariot sightings all the time. On that day, you better pray okay, you better pray you're beamed up on that day, because if you're not, you're gonna die in that nuclear destruction. The chosen is going to be delivered. That's the Revelations. It's a Revelations account. It's the 11 or the 7th chapter. I'll post it. That's what's coming to America. But I'm going into what's it going to be, okay, for the chosen on the other side. Let's continue reading. Okay. Luke 12 and 32, and it reads, "Fear not, little flock," he's talking to the Israelites, "for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." This is going into the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Read again. Luke 12 and 32, it reads, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." That's going into the kingdom of heaven. We're going to read on. We're going to jump to Revelations, the 2nd chapter. and it reads Revelations 2:25 and 27. And this is a judgment on the other nations, okay? Revelations 2:25 and 27 reads, but that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. Revelations 2 and 26, and he that overcometh and keep my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. That's dealing with your heathen nations, okay? All right? Verse 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And that's where they link with Revelations 13 and 10, okay? And that's another fatality to spiritual Israelite doctrine. That's a dogma. That's like a Christianity dogma that certain Israelite groups slip into the community to save their oppressor. You read Isaiah the 34th chapter, who they call Jesus Christ, he's going to have blood all the way up his, his vessel, his garment. It's like a grape wine press. I'm not saying that right. I'm butchering it, but Christ is going to do a lot of killing. I'm not talking about Surf Boy on the right-hand corner there. That's the description of Yahweh Shai on the left-hand corner. He's coming to kill by the thousands, millions. Okay? It won't be no Disneyland Hollywood ending. Okay? Christ is coming to destroy the wicked. And he's coming to destroy wicked Israelites. That's your Zechariah 13 and 8 Hebrew Israelites. He's coming to wipe them out. So you have to keep the commandments, you have to keep the faith, and you have to be humble and sincere in his walk. Anything outside that spirit, you was never in the game. Okay? Let's read on. Let's get 1 Corinthians 6 and 2. And it reads, do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world, okay? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Okay. The saints are going to do the judging. I believe there's an account in Matthew's 19. I believe somewhere in Matthew's 19 chapter. Let me get it. Okay. You can get certain accounts in the book of Judges. Okay. It does say judge, righteous, judgment. Okay. I forget which count. I don't know if it's judges. It could be a different account, but it's righteous to do righteous judgments. Okay. Let me get that. So we have to prepare for what's to come until the Lord, take us home to that new covenant. Okay, Hebrews 8 and 11, which we're not in, right? So we have to look forward to these things. Let's get Matthew's. I'm going to try that 19th chapter. Give me a second. And shalom to the 12 tribes of the children of Israel scattered. Okay. We just have to look forward to that glorious day, the sound of the trumpet, because this current kingdom, this place is a headache. The Lord teach. You have to endure to the end, right? And we must endure to the end. Reading out of Matthew 19 and 28, and it reads, and Jesus said unto them, Mashiach Yahushai, verily I say unto you, that you which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And that's actually going into the judgment of the righteous. Okay? Even if you're chosen, you're going to get judged. Okay? There's another account where, certain Israelites that made it still could get stripes. Okay? But you want judgment on the right-hand side. You definitely don't want judgment on the left-hand side, because if you're judged on the left-hand side, that's a wrap, okay? The wicked will be destroyed forever, okay? There's a warning account in Isaiah 66. When you read the latter two verses, that's a pretty scary warning, and there are other precepts that support that. The wicked will be destroyed, even wicked Israelites, okay? Let's read on. Wisdom of Solomon 3:8. They shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord shall reign forever. And that's talking about the Hebrew Israelites. We're going to reign forever and ever, okay? This is it. There will be no more captivities after this one. Okay, I could post the actual captivities. Yeah, Egyptian, that was a sojourner in Egypt, but you had the Syrian, okay, Babylonians, the Grecians, the Romans, I believe the Persians. Now you had Rome rise, okay, Rome rise and fell. You can also read that in Revelation 20, but it was for a season, and they rose obviously with their Renaissance. They whitewashed their image. They put up Caesar back there. Okay, they created this thing called Hollywood, make films with whitewashed images of the Son of Man. It's called iconoclasm. And they deceived this world. The Most High tell us that in Job 9:24. Okay? They set themselves up as the people after World War II, and they set themselves up in North America and other parts of the world under their Christianity umbrella, which is really a bunch of Ku Klux Klanmen pretending to be something they're not. They're not the children of God. They're the children of Edom. And when you read the Obadiah account, it's not going to end well for them. Okay? Let's read on. See if there's any more. See if there's any more. I'm going to wind down. I'm going to read these last three, and I'm probably going to end this video. But this is what we have to look forward to. America's finished. They're going to war. I mentioned this in the last video, how certain elders are bringing out these underground cities. Of course, y'all seen the accounts of underground bunkers, these underground bunker homes for your rich elite. Many videos have surfaced last year into this year. They're doing that because they know the judgment is very close by. The Lord tell you, when you study, I believe that's Isaiah 24 to Isaiah the 27th chapter, they're going to be taken from those bunkers, and they're going to be judged. And for the sellout Negro that thinks he's safe in the bunker hiding with his oppressor, they're going to get judged on that day as well. Okay? Got to keep these commandments. There's not a dollar amount out there that's going to save you on the day of the Lord. The Most High is going to destroy this place. Okay? Yes, the United States of America will be destroyed in 1 hour. The Most High tell us that in Revelation the 18th chapter. Okay? And if you want details of how bad America is going to be besieged, study 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. Start around verse about 15 and 15 on down to at least 47, 48. If you want details. America is going to be destroyed. Okay? This is going to become a desolate place, as I put in my last video. I'm going to read these last three verses, and I'm going to end this video. Okay? Revelation 21:12. It had a wall great high, and it had 12 gates. Not one gate. It had 12 gates, And at the gates, 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Bashima Mashiach Yahushai. Ain't no one gate, ain't no Disneyland, Final Fantasy nonsense where Ku Klux Klan and heathens gonna line themselves up with the Israelites. No, they go into slavery. And after they're done serving slavery, they're still gonna be subservients to the Israelites forever. Racism, white supremacy, Obadiah 1:18, nice knowing you, extinct forever in that day. Let's read on. Revelations 21:14. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Okay. That's also dealing with the elect. Revelation 21:18 and verse 21. We're going to end it here. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper. The city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Okay. And that jasper, okay, a lot of jasper stones, it was like brownish crystal, okay. It's a brownish crystal-like complexion, okay. Just to let you know. That's what that jasper is going into. The jasper stones, it has a bronze-like appearance to it, okay. Because it's going to be a people of color running this world forever. It's for all you Ku Klux Klan and racism, white supremacists out there. From the top. Revelation 21:18 through 21. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Verse 19. And the foundation of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third Sidoni, if I said that right, excuse me. The fourth of an emerald. The fifth, sardonyx. The sixth, sardis. The seventh, it says sarlite. The eighth, beryl. The ninth, topaz. The 10th, it says Sasaris. The 11th, jacinth. The 12th, and the Salakia. I missed Salakia, y'all. I know I jacked that up. Verse 21. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gates was of one pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. All praise to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what we have to look forward to. The hell with the United States of America. The elect, we're going to pray for the destruction of this place and deliverance into Zion forever and ever. And with that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach Yahushai. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humbleness, sincerity. Israel, I love y'all. We got next. Shalom, family.